Welcome to the Minnesotan pod. Today's pod is brought to you by APX Hockey. We got Wes Jirovec with us here and Brad Thompson, a special edition about youth hockey tryouts. Should be a good one.
You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. Cause it get cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota.
All right, boys, let's get down and get busy. I have the two of you here. I've orchestrated this as kind of a tryout pod. We're right in the middle of tryouts. Some teams have already been named already. But what I wanted to do is I have Wes here who works with players all throughout the off season and helps develop players to get ready physically, mentally, all that for a tryout. And Brad here has been doing tryouts for years. That's how one of the first conversations I had with you was like, yeah, I was at Prior Lake doing tryouts. I'm like, what do you do for them? And you were like, hey, I evaluate tryouts. I've been doing this for years. So I thought it'd be really fun. I wrote an article 10, 15 years ago. I think it's one of our most read articles about the post-tryout process too. So after you've been picked to a team and maybe you made your team, how should you do it? If you haven't made your team, how should you act? And I'm only pulling this out. Some of it's from personal experience, but some of it's from just, I wouldn't recommend those 3-4 things to do after the tryouts are over. But so it should be a fun show. We're going to divide this into 3 categories: the pre-tryout, the during tryout, and then the post-tryout. So, Wes, this is your stage. Let's go through just some. I got a few questions for you. And,
sure.
And again, obviously, everything leads to APX. So everything pre-tryouts, you should be doing every minute of that at APX. And I'm sort of obviously sarcastic, but in a truer sense, though, you have, when we do our podcasts and you guys aren't in the room, our speech goes like this: if you had a kid and you want to make him better at hockey, the best place to go is Map South, now APX. And the reason is it has everything. It's not just stick handling. It's not just skating. It's not just shooting. It's not just, body development. It's not just leadership. You have so many different things that you guys have to offer to get a player ready. If it's for a youth tryout or if it's a high school tryout, a junior tryout, or heading into their college years, it's a great place to be. And where I think a lot of where the rubber hits the road, when you're gonna laugh at this, where the rubber hits the road at APX is the driveway outside. The kids are out there grinding when no one's looking. Sure. That's where the money is made, in my opinion. Tell me a little bit about what the process looks like. And we can use this as an APX ad, but tell me what that process looks like for when a kid shows up at 9 a.m. and then gets picked up by mom or dad later in the afternoon.
I think it's better to describe, hey, it's been a consistent evolution for the guys, but this kind of conversation is one that's so relevant from a performance standpoint and a mentality standpoint. And yes, inevitably development needs to happen where your physical tools are growing, improving, your situational awareness on the ice and your decision-making is crucial in the different ways you contribute to the game. We're going to talk about that with, tryouts. I'm sure Brad's going to have good insight from his perspective as well. But really, I think what we're doing, what we're really proud of, and it's hard to do, it's hard work, it's nice to have so much runway, is to try to affect mentality. And from mentality comes habits and instincts and details, and it's so much more effective to see improvements in a young player's game or anybody who's going into their first year of college in how you are interpreting your opportunities on the ice, how are you approaching and anticipating opportunities to make different plays. And again, sometimes it is bare bones when it comes to just what you do with your hands and your feet, but so much of it is purpose, and that's something that we're really proud of. But other than that, right, bare bones stuff, ice and workout sessions offered, 5 days a week pretty consistently throughout the spring, summer, and fall. Our high school groups are still rocking and rolling all the way up until tryouts.
Right.
And when you have so much opportunity, specifically on the ice, we better be covering a lot of different ground: soft skill, hard skill, skating, situational awareness, position, and again, a lot of really fun dialogue to make sure we're connecting the dots right with the boys.
So you're
and girls,
you're a kid from, let's just say, Kitson County, Minnesota, right? And there's no ice in Kitson County. They get ice rarely in the summer. They get access to ice. Or how can a kid get ready for tryouts when they don't get ice back until like September, October? What are some of the things that you can do to prep yourself without, or maybe you don't have ice, but you don't have the budget for a AAA program or an APX? What are some things that kids can and cannot do, or can do to help improve their performance to get ready for a tryout?
Sure. And hey, I mean, geez, we were just speaking about this before. We get tryout-oriented questions from our parents and players all the time. It's great dialogue. Everybody's very motivated and wants to do well. Likewise, how you get questions about, hey, I got section playoffs coming up. What are some things I should be considering, prioritizing, preparing for? And the way we answer it is that, hey, and again, this is very simplistic, so let me elaborate, but there's only one way to play the game, and that's to win, right? And again, we're not
win at all costs here at APX.
But it really is this,
it's
right?
true, though. If you weren't, then why would you put the score on the scoreboard, right?
Absolutely. So it's more of this, right? It's what are the different ways that you're preparing, and preparing is the right word because, unfortunately, it's not enough to say, hey, I'm going to flip on my brain to say defense away from the puck is really important to me now, and I'm going to go do it. The reps and the mindfulness, the purpose of being a well-rounded player, regardless of your skill set, your identity, is very crucial. So this isn't new. I'm not, we didn't fix this up in the lab, but a great way to break apart contributions in any game, but specifically in a tryout, is offense at the puck, defense at the puck, offense away from the puck, defense away from the puck.
Yeah, that's a good way to. That simplifies it, right?
Correct.
Into 4 areas.
Exactly. And this part too.
Are you taking notes over there, Brad?
I am.
All right, check it.
I'm typing on my phone as we speak.
It's not new to Brad, I'm guessing.
No.
So it's this too, right? And this is really good information that's been helpful to give, again, our boys and girls purpose in competitive circumstances, right? Maybe not all the time. Youth, understand it can be some different type of players who can maybe handle the puck more, or there's a game context where these numbers don't directly apply. But the longer you play, the higher up you go, and the more competitive circumstances you get to, 10% of your game on average is offense at the puck. That's mean you have the puck on your tape, regardless of zone or circumstance. 10% of the time, you have defense at the puck. That means you're the direct defender against a puck carrier. And then it's 40% of your time is offense away from the puck, and 40% of your time is defense away from the puck.
For sure.
Right? And hey, it's not, I'm at the forefront of, proud to be pushing the boundaries and ceilings for our upper echelon talent players and guys who are game breakers. And yes, you need to be able to make plays and be able to finish and be able to be responsible with the puck. But if that's the only avenue that you're really motivated about, then you have an incredibly limited impact in a game.
Shallow.
You know what I mean? And again, you can ace the test, baby, at the puck, offense and defense, right? And even some guys, going, hey, I understand when it's my purpose and my turn to finish this hit or create this takeaway or take space away or have an impact. But it really should be exciting, right? I think we used to say it this way. We used to say you have to be obsessed with winning in any and all contributions on the ice. I think a better way to put it, and probably a little bit more positive speaking, I think you want to be in love with making an impact in the game in all these different areas.
You do. No question about that. That's a good way to term it. So, I want to go back, though, and go back to that kid who doesn't have a lot of ice. And I want you to build on this for me. Like, okay, you don't have any ice. All right, so are you playing soccer? Are you playing football? Are you playing sports where you're going to stay physically fit? Because staying physically fit is a key component to hockey. If you're going to MAP, you're automatically physically fit.
APX.
I'm sorry.
All good.
If you're at APX, you're automatically going to be more physically fit because you're going to go through physical fitness, right? So I would say physical fitness off ice, obviously shooting the puck and practice passing the puck. There are some soft skills that you can do without even stepping on the ice. What are some other things that they could do as far as body weight exercising, or, I'm sure the internet could help them too.
For sure. You bring up a good point, right? And it's, again, we're speaking about an athlete who has limited
access
to things. And as much as playing another sport has some physical benefits to it,
right?
You like the idea of, in another circumstance, of having versatile impact. You know what I mean? And hey, inevitably, if it's an individualized sport, that's not so much of a correlation to our game.
Oh, I'm not saying golf or tennis. I mean, tennis would be fantastic.
Sure.
There's certain sports where it's like if you have no physical fitness from when you don't have access to the ice in April and then you're putting your skates on September, you're going to be out of shape, and it's going to take you 2 months. It'll be too late once trials start, don't you think, Brad?
Yep, too late.
Yeah.
So physical fitness is something that's key. Swimming could be a great summer sport.
Sure,
Like, there's certain things where you're just in shape in general.
I'll offer some more context on the physical fitness side. I mean, this at least is very generalized of things we're accomplishing in our gym, but things that, again, we didn't make up.
Right.
Is strength development and also explosive muscle engagement, right? Our sport is incredibly demanding from an athleticism standpoint, regardless, again, of your position, and being able to move quick, right? Sometimes simple rules.
I agree.
And these have been around for a long time. It's if you can't move fast in the gym, it's difficult to move fast on the ice.
Amen to that.
And hey, don't get me wrong. Hey, I'm all for getting some max bench in here and there, and being a very testosterone-driven day in the gym. All about it.
Yeah.
But that would be a limited outlook about how you prepare yourself.
All right, so Brad, you're a hockey coach and a hockey dad of 2 hockey players. What is your opinion on that access to the game? Well, it could be just training, but if you didn't have access to ice for extended amounts of months, what would your advice be to a kid in a town where there's no access to ice?
Shooting pucks. I know Wes, forming good habits. I think one of the first things Wes brought up was habits, right? At APX, forming good habits. You brought up you don't have access to ice, right, or on ice training during the summer. So you combine the two of those, forming good habits, shooting pucks every day. Every most likely kids have access to some pucks, right? You can shoot pucks. You don't even have to have a net, put up a tarp, and running sprints, short sprints, hills. I'm a big believer in running hills.
Hills are free.
Hills are free, right? There's so much. You can go down to the park, find a hill. You have a hill in your neighborhood.
That's really good.
Running hills and short sprints. Wes, you said you're not out there seeing if you can squat 700 pounds or, bench press max. Yeah, that's fun. Everybody likes doing that, but you're building on, to me, it's your fast twitch muscles, and which is hockey. Hockey is, starts and stops, your fast twitch.
And how about I bridge the comment you made before, right? Internet access is great.
Because there's so many things on YouTube.
Right.
And there's things that you can do to be creative, right?
Correct. Or maybe you did it. You did a camp, right? Or something your coach told you at the conclusion of last season, or something that you saw or heard about. And hey, I do this with our guys. Our guys are busy as heck. But if that's a specific teaching point within shooting execution or a certain shot that maybe is out of your comfort zone, and I go, hey, go get your miles in the basement or in the garage. You know what I mean? And you could be at your pace, set up your phone or your iPad, and to take some video if you're recognizing maybe some specific positioning that you're getting better at. But inevitably, I like to say, a hungry kid's going to find a way to.
Absolutely. Yep. We have a program in our girls program, our Team Minnesota program, where we document their shots every day. They have to go online and put their shots, how many shots and backhands and all that stuff they're doing in. And just in short period of time, what you see is what you get. You can't lie.
Nope.
I mean, you could put in that you did your 100 shots, but if you come next spring and you can't shoot the puck, you did 32,000 shots, and this is how much better. You didn't get much better. It's obvious you didn't put in the work, and there's girls putting in the work. So, I love what you said that. You got to get the shots, but I think if you actually keep track of them in a Google Doc or something, it's a great formula for doing exactly what you both said about habits. You got to have the habits. You can't show up 2 weeks before. Not many, anyway. Not everyone can be like this Chase Bjorgard kid from Edina. He was our multi-sport athlete feature. We follow.
Yeah, saw that.
So I'm interviewing him this spring here. First interview ever done was in those chairs. I was like, so what did you do after? How do you train for hockey? He goes, I don't. I'm like, what do you mean you don't? He goes, well, I go from baseball to football, and then I got a 2 days between football and high school tryouts, and I go over to Blake with some buddies, and they shoot on me, and I go to tryouts. I'm like, you are the biggest anomaly I've ever heard. There's 30 kids in Edina that are doing 6 a days.
6 a days.
To be as good of an athlete as him.
Right. Well, hey,
there aren't many like that. Is what I'm saying.
Oh,
you
man,
gotta put in the time.
You have to put in the time.
You gotta put in the time.
And hey, even like your other perspective, we think, hey, we're driving a Maserati from a development standpoint, but it's still, it's not enough. You know, hey, it doesn't work. You know, sometimes have to remind parents and players this, like, it's not enough to just pay money and show up. What are you doing to take advantage? Details, right? A smarter man than I said, details build empires. And we live off of that, where whether it is what you're doing at home on your own or what you're getting from us, it doesn't matter if you don't have the right mindset to take advantage and you don't have the diligence to want to invest in details the right way. That's a massive step. Correct, a massive, a simplified takeaway that a lot of people or young people sometimes struggle to take to heart.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and this is going to be an anti-APX message. You know what I mean? Like, hey. I remember the first time I went in there, I was like, the first thing that came to mind was I saw some skating, I saw some drills. I'm like, and then I went over to the turf, and I was like, I watched kids working out. They went outside, kids shooting pucks. I'm like, my first thought was it would be almost impossible not to be really, really, really good if you committed to this every day.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And there are kids that don't succeed from your program, and that's no harm to you guys. It's just they don't have the habits or the heart to do it.
Sure.
And there's no slam on you guys. My point is, like you said, I walked over and Maserati was one of the things I thought. I'm like, this is the Maserati of training because they're getting everything that they need.
Right. But no, you say it right. And again, here's the thing too. And this is in general, maybe, and this is probably some things that we can talk about. Maybe you're elaborating this from an evaluation standpoint. It's not easy to do the things the right way. You know what I mean? It's easy that a coach or a mentor or a parent or me from a player development standpoint, if you're not asking a whole lot just to make sure you get W's, you can just do that. We can set the bar real low, or we can lean into the type of growth that's necessary when we're in a collaborative conversation with the family about what are we really trying to get out of this.
Yeah.
Or you're being honest with your varsity coaching staff in the locker room about what are we trying to accomplish. And when they put the right challenges in front of you, those are hard. It's supposed to be hard. But that's what makes it worth it. And that's what gives you the appropriate return on investment versus not asking for as much.
As we build our girls program, one of my taglines is going to be the path of most resistance.
Nice.
Right?
Love
because everyone wants the least.
T-shirt?
Everyone wants the least. Everyone wants, hey, life is to find a path of least resistance.
Sure.
Well, if you're going to get good, you got to go there. You guys are providing resistance in more ways than one over at APX. So the idea is to build a way where you're used to being resisted, and you got to work through that stuff.
And what are you taking away from? I mean, there's so many training facilities out there. Right?
Yeah.
APX and Fortis, and you name it. There's everybody's, dads have started.
And the thing is, perfect world. All these places are doing great work.
Right.
Sure.
But it's going to be here where it's going to be one, right?
It's what you take, hey, mom and dad drops their kid off at APX all day long. They think that, he's going to be the best hockey player in the world. He's training at APX, right?
Or any
you
of
have
them,
to want it, right? And what are you doing? You made the point earlier, Wes, of like these kids going home at night and maybe stick on the garage. They were at APX all day. Now they're going to take what they learned at APX and they're going to fine tune it at home in the garage shooting pucks.
That's the kid who's going to really do well.
And you see the kids. You have that conversation with parents all the time. Like, wow, Johnny really excelled this summer. Yeah, because he not only did he train at APX, but he came home and shot 500 more pucks in the garage or stick handled for an hour. Like that's the difference. That's what's setting those kids apart.
And it should be that should be the measure. The longevity, right, or adaptability for anybody, right? We're not the only party in town or different places all over the planet that are trying to accomplish what we're doing and doing well. But if the players can't pull those habits and that execution and that awareness into the regular season, let alone into another rink otherwise, then we're failing.
Yeah, although I like I said, it's really hard to mess it up if you're going to APX. I'm not trying to make APX it's just ice, turf, weights, shooting, check down. It's all there. And we're going to build you leaders too while we're at. This is some good stuff. So let's move off of the pre and move into the actual tryout. I evaluate for our Minnesota girls, and I'm telling you, that is one of the hardest days of my year is evaluating players who have been spent all summer getting better. It's the end of summer. They're trying out for a team for the next year. And I just can see the look in their eye. I can see the parents' look in their eye. I ref the final skates. It was one of the most obscure things ever. I'm on the ice, and now we're at Eden Prairie 3, or the little side rink over there.
Yep.
And all the parents are revolving the glass, and I'm reffing. And I'm obviously watching the players while I'm reffing. I got evaluators up there. But seeing the look on the face of some of these parents was one of the craziest 4 hours of my life. Just looking at their eye. It was crazy. I was like, oh, my God, this skate means a lot. To them and the kids.
The first thing I like that you said is the parents are in there watching, because I'm a big believer in just opening your tryout. Tryouts out.
We start there.
Let the parents
open
in,
tryout or closed tryout. I'm an open. Let them all in.
Yeah, I'm a big
let them all
open.
in. How about your thought on that?
No, agreed. Hey, you don't have to get too much into this. You understand that there's a defense mechanism in it to say, we don't want anyone else's opinion to, impact their interpretation about the evaluations. But inevitably, it's like everybody can watch, and we got to trust that the evaluators and those that are making decisions are doing it for the right reasons, and they're the experts in the scenario.
That's right.
I think I think that encourages trust in a community or in a school or on a team.
I think so too.
I completely agree.
My favorite is, and again, I've been going at this for a long time, and I'm sure you guys have heard this statement, and it goes like this. Jenny had X number of goals in the tryout and didn't make the team. Have you heard that one before?
Oh, baby. Too many times. Too many times.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, God, I can't believe Jenny or Johnny had that many points. And
my son scored 7 goals in the tryout. I was there.
Or even this one, right? This is he was on the ice, and there wasn't a goal against, like, for a defenseman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. Or the goalie not allowing a goal.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that happens too. I think this is different, but I had a tryout, a girls skate where no goals were scored the entire hour scrimmage.
Sounds like some good defense.
It just was really competitive. They was really even.
That's good.
And deciding the players where was even harder, because no one really stood out poorly or no one stood up, great. It made it very hard to choose players. But all right, let's go through what are some of the I have answers to this question, but I want to hear your answers. What are you looking for, Mr. Evaluator? What is the things that you want? He already gave away some good answers. I loved some of your answers already about the defense on
40-40.
Yeah, 40-40, 10-10. Yeah. That's a good litmus, but I want to hear how you answer that question. What are you looking for as an evaluator?
His 40-40 spot on, because when I'm sitting evaluating, what are you doing away from the puck? I mean, obviously we've all been through tryouts. We all know kids. There's going to be in different sessions of the tryouts before you might whittle the pool down to the top kids. There's going to be 2 or 3 kids in a pool who can get the puck and go end to end.
Right.
Don't really care about that. I mean, you take those, in my mind, take those kids off the ice.
Do you take them off the ice?
I know you want them on the ice to see how the other kids do it.
You kind of have to. What are your thoughts about that? Taking the top 4 kids off the ice and just having the 5 through 26 tryout.
Brad stole the best answer, because I want to see how everybody else responds to that.
So do I.
Yeah. And hey, sometimes you're on the wrong side of chasing down, a scoring chance, but that can show a lot.
That's right.
You know what I mean? In another scenario, I always, told our boys this when I'm doing evaluations, right? Because you're either recruiting or you're looking at players to bring in the program. And I like sticking around for a 7-1, Bantam game.
Yeah.
And I want to see how you're responding to get punched in the face, and what are you doing habits-wise, as the game's out of hand. And likewise, if, listen, this kid's been lighting us up, we've seen it so many times. We could both name somebody, name so many names.
Although Colton Nash, imagine him at a Minnetonka tryout, right? What a joke that would have been.
Yeah.
But I want to see the kid who's not afraid to go at a kid like that.
Or what do you do? How do you adapt to that? Right?
Yes, and then after that, that boy or girl has gone out and went end-to-end 4 times and got their 4 goals, now you see more times than often you see them wanting to set up maybe someone else who's one of their buddies maybe or whoever it is, right? They're like, okay, I got mine. Now I'm gonna try to set this guy up back doors.
I love watching the kids who don't care who has the puck.
That's right.
They're just gonna play.
Yep.
They have no care in the world. All right, so
And
tell me about some physical.
Yeah, that's Mike. To me, is like, what are you doing with defensemen? Your awareness in front of the net. What are you doing away when the puck's in the corner? What are you doing? Are you defending in a layer right behind that? Are you standing in front of the net? Are you, is your head on a swivel? Things like that. Are you even the forwards? Where are you? How are you playing away from the puck? If that the one guy is going up the ice with the puck, are you just sitting there watching him, or are you actually knowing that he's going to go in, or are you going to join the play and want to be part of the play, maybe for a rebound? Are you crashing the net? Just little things of the players. What are they doing away from the puck when they're not involved in the play? Do they know what their defensive responsibility is in the D zone? Do they know where they should be, in the offensive zone? If there's a turnover on the boards, or if it goes up to the D, do the wings know their responsibility to know what they're supposed to do? And it's different if you're
every
evaluating
level, right.
squirts. It's as opposed Bantams, Peewees, they should know those. I'm expecting them to know those responsibilities.
Right.
Squirts is a little bit different.
Here's a tough one for you. All right. What mesmerizes you more as an evaluator? The beautiful skater kid, right? Because they're really easy to spot, right? The kid who can skate up on the ice, he probably got good hands too, because he's such a good skater. Right? His hand, everything gets better. Or do you find the guy who's probably lacks, a skill like skating, a skill like handling, but all of a sudden he's got like 5 goals. The puck is always in the right place at the right time. He's starting to make some pretty high IQ plays, but he skates like he's got, leather, steel blade. He's got he's got anchors on his feet. What do you do in that situation? Because I always feel like I'm getting deceived one way. I feel like I'm getting deceived by a good skater kid, and I feel like I'm getting deceived by the kid who's got 6 goals. How do you fight through those two deceptions?
I think it goes to what night of tryouts you're in. So early on of tryouts, right, you have the mix. Associations do it different, right? A through L, M through Z, different pools for the different kids. I think on those nights when I'm evaluating, the first night or two is the thing that I'm really looking for is the skating, because you're in a mix with some kids who you could have returning Bantam AA kids, and you could have kids who are coming off a PWC team,
right?
And they're Bantams, and they're Bantams
in the same skate,
yeah. Right? So now I'm looking at, okay, hey, who are the kids that can skate, right? So you see that. But as you whittle that down a little bit, you want that kid that has the high hockey IQ, and I think that comes to watching what they're doing. Like, this kid really knows, like, he's not a great skater, but he's always around the puck. He's always
not afraid.
He's not afraid. He knows what he's supposed to do. He's always in the right position. He knows his role. And those kids will stand out to you. They might not stand out to you in that first couple skates.
Right.
Because it's such a mix of
it's
kids.
Like 71 again.
Yeah.
71 again.
Yeah.
Those are the kids that
that's right.
Like, I keep an eye out for 71. I like this kid.
Yeah,
right?
and that's always been my message to any parents who ask my own kids is, in tryout, be around the puck. Be around the play. You get you want to be around the play. You want to be involved. You want to show that you're involved in the play. Like, you're not just kind of sitting back, because the evaluators are going to see, there's, to your point, Tony, there's 71 again. Oh, yeah. Wait, there's 71 again. You might not have scored a goal, got an assist, but there's 71 again. Look at the forecheck by 71, right?
Or
Look
he's
at the
cutting
back
off the
check
pass. He knows where the puck's going.
That's
we
right.
need guys that can do that, right?
Yep. Here's another way. You're kind of alluding to this, Brad, and again, I didn't come up with any of these terms, but it's soft skill versus hard skill, and we're attacking this all the time. Soft skill's easy to come by. Those are the things you execute physically with space. Your passing, your possession, your finish, shooting. Hard skill is 50-50 puck battles. It's what you're doing on the walls in the trenches. It's what contributions are you making within man-on-man coverage and body positioning. A lot of the tenacity of the sport. Even for girls, there's, front of the net's a front of the net. Some things don't change over time. And it's really crucial, right, in a tryout evaluation circumstance, let alone anybody else that wants to win, that you have to want to, right? Back to this, you have to be in love with hard skill and understand how crucial it is to contribute in all those different spots where it's not as easy to make plays, but boy, does it matter. Well,
I could talk about in this session so much, because it's like the nerves
Yes.
of the parents are just on walking on eggshells, right? And I just remember, and I'm not going to say the guy's name, but there was always a kid my age. Every tryout he was the pretty skater. I think I was 71 and he was the pretty skater guy. And we'd both make the top team, but no matter what, the coach, and I'm not trying to brag up my hockey skills or anything, but
Sure, yeah.
but I think of tryouts, I think of this kid, right? I think of this kid, and we would be like at the lunch table going, how come that guy makes the team? He does nothing out there. And I would ask my dad, my brothers, how come this kid would make the team? Like, oh, he's such a pretty skater. I'm like, yeah, but he can't shoot. He can't put the puck in the net. You look at his stats every year, he's always in the lower two guys on the team. But he could skate well. He could really skate well, and he kind of nice equipment, and he just he fit the role, right? And he looked okay in a trial, but once the game was played, the guys that might like me were in the lower half of what it looked pretty out there would climb above them. The guys who played street hockey every day, the guys who were at the lake every day, the guys that were really working.
Yep.
I was just so frustrated with this kid. I won't say his name because he was a great friend of mine. But man, we were by his senior year, the coaching staff had finally figured out that he was just a good skater.
Just a good skater.
He was a good skater too. But like, how do I always tell people, I've told people this for the last 20 years. When I get asked the question, what should I do? I'm like, go be a good skater. Because if you're a really good skater, the tryout evaluators like this guy are going to fall in love with you. Am I wrong?
No, it's not. You do. I don't care what tryout you're in. People talk to it. Skating it's one of the first things that if you're a really good skater, I don't care who you are evaluating. It's one of the first things that catches. Even a warm up, you can sit in warm-ups, and we joke about this and all the evaluations I've done in the different programs is we're sitting up there, all the evaluators, and the kids just hit the ice, right? And you're in the, which doesn't matter what pool, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or it's your A through L, M through Z, it doesn't matter. The kids hit the ice. They're just skating around. They haven't even done anything yet. They're just skating around, warming up, and you can pick out, boom, boom, you can go right out, and you can,
This was that kid. This was that kid. He was so beautiful out there on the ice. But
what
was he? Hard skills?
Yeah.
He's never seen a hard skill in his life.
That doesn't work. Well, hey, how about this? Especially the youth levels, and I think you can say this for high school. If you're recognizing some really big upside with physical tools, specifically skating, there's an athleticism that goes about with that. And I've done evaluations before too, and you're going, listen, maybe it's not all the way there right now, but if you've got good support and good leadership from a coaching staff and the practice reps, and we can teach them hard skill.
That's right.
And when you can utilize, especially mobility, you know what I mean? Like, we're winning puck battles, we're getting the spots we need to be. You can be a really strong contributor. So, your example is very particular. Yeah. But I think from an evaluation standpoint, you recognize why those attributes are wildly valuable.
Like, Pod would have gotten really good had I thrown his name out there, though. All my buddies would have been like, I can't believe you threw him under the bus like that. Like, can't do that. Can't do that. But, man, but the funny thing about it is, like, we would go back to the lunchroom, after tryouts or whatever, and be like, we knew we had put our work in. We knew we were shooting pucks in the backyard. We were playing street hockey. We outworked him for 11 out of the 12 months of the year. We were working at our game. And I'm like, oh, it'll show up, and when push comes to shove, we know we're going to get the puck, when it's all said and done. But, man, the coach would be like, oh, yeah, you're in. I'm like, oh, that's not going to last very long.
Hey, habits, right? Habits.
Yeah, totally works. It's the same deal. So, all right, do you have any more other things that give me the golden rule? I got picked on a couple things there, but I'd love to get
a big, as far, with tryouts with parents, if the tryouts are open, you want to stay and watch, great, stay and watch. If they're closed, just leave. Don't sit around the rink and they all stand out in the little lobby area and you're just making it worse for your kid. Just, to me, leave the rink. Don't, just let your kid show up to the rink, do the tryout. You don't need to be in his ear in the car on the way there, or you don't need to sit there in the lobby and, wait for him to come walking out, drop him off, drive your car away, go down the road, or, sit out in your car in the parking lot, whatever you might want to do. But, it's your kid's time to try out. And
can I speak now?
Yeah.
Wait, did you not mute him?
Did we? Did
Kaylee,
turn
you
him
mute him? Off mute. Go ahead, Tony.
Can I please talk? It's nice being Brad Thompson, right? You had kids that are really good, right? Yeah, congratulations. My kid was on the frickin' bubble all 6 years, and it was an open tryout, and I felt like I would have, if I had not been in that building, I would have felt like I was basically throwing him under the bus. I had to be there. According to Mom, you have to be there for him.
But Jefferson was open.
Jefferson was open.
Right? So that's I'm if the tryouts are open, I'm saying if it's closed, just
correct. If it's closed,
Just
I'm
leave.
over at
Yeah, just
Brugger's
leave.
or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
but open
gone
tryouts,
for an hour.
right?
Yeah.
You want to sit and watch tryouts, and I coached at
I
Jefferson
was
years and years
literally
ago.
just chewing my fingernails every skate because he was on the bubble, and it's really hard. That's kind of segues.
Did you ever
into-
send an email to the
Never?
tryout say, hey, my kid
Had
scored 7 goals?
No,
Tony just showed up on someone's door.
no 7 goals. Actually, the purpose of my "So Your Kid Got Cut" article that I wrote was when Jake played. I can say this now. Played Bantam Bees his first year, and he was good. He was that's the second best team in Jefferson. He was good. He was in the top third. I'm like, well, he's got a spot. And he was always bubble. To make the Squirt A team, always bubble to make the PBAA team. I thought he'll be bubble here. A few kids moved in, all those other things, and and I thought he had a decent trout, and I thought I was fully prepared for him to get cut and fully prepared for him to make the team. Didn't make the team, had a great year. We'll get to that in a minute. But when he didn't make the team is when I wrote the article. I professed on that article. Here are the things I'm not gonna do, and one of them was send the letter. Because there was more to life than that. And then he got to be the captain of that B team. He then did a whole bunch of great things that year. And then he had a great offseason, trained a bunch. I think he even got invited to MAP by Gino. We didn't accept because I couldn't afford it. I wish I could have. I was more of like a Honda Civic budget, not Maserati budget.
Hey, it's not for everybody.
But I didn't know. Had it been today, I'm sure I would have made it happen. But it wasn't like, oh God, that's so much more than what our budget. And
Can we not talk about how much money we've spent
on hockey?
On hockey.
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's great. So,
It's an
but my
investment,
point,
gentlemen.
my point of it is I wrote a thing of like 6 or 7 things not to do, published it, and every team president like Maple Grove, Edina, like, can we post this article on our? I'm like, yeah, you can for sure. And basically was, hey, take your lumps, get better. And this was before he actually became the captain of the team, and then really had a really rise after that. He was very disappointed for a couple of days. Some of his best friends to this day are kids from that team.
That's great.
But my most proud moment of Jake, and probably top 5 of his life, is his buddies who made the Bantam AA team went all the way through the back door in St. Cloud. It happened to be the region I was covering. He stayed there till 5:00 p.m. He could have went home with any million other people. He goes, no, I want to stay. I think they're going to make it to state. And he was the guy yelling at the refs. He's a 14-year-old kid. That's BS, and he was like the team's cheerleader, hanging out with all the parents. And I saw it was kind of a rise above. Like, he could have said, I don't want to watch my buddies play, but he wanted to do them. And when they made it, he was down in the locker room giving high fives and stuff like that. So he took a bad and made a really good out of it. And he ended up playing varsity hockey. And I think him getting cut in Bantam Bees was the best thing that ever happened to him.
Sure.
So
Hey,
there's your story. And they're all out there. Those stories are out there. You just got to
Absolutely.
love the game, right?
Yep.
When we are, a lot of times you get players or even players that aren't in our program, but just know them from around town, right? No different than you guys get to see. It can be really hard for a kid who comes up through the youth ranks, through high school, and gets out of high school without ever getting cut from something,
Amen.
right? And it's
So
not,
good
it's
for
not
you.
to say that, everybody, because they're so talented, that they're pompous and, they have no humility. But it's just really hard to learn lessons from an adversity standpoint if you've never actually felt it in your bones.
What's the boy, Horsager?
Sure.
Oh my God, what a great kid, right? He's
Sure.
he's an APX guy.
Yep.
I bet
Yeah,
he got
Bentley.
cut a handful of times.
Or wasn't even considered, right?
Right.
But even small stuff, right? Like I really love opportunities from a mentorship standpoint. Let's say someone doesn't go as far as they wanted to in spring HP, or your interpretation of phase 1 of the USHL draft is you thought you were going to get picked and you didn't. So I don't want to just go, oh, like don't worry about it. I mean, that's one of the messages, but that ends
absolutely.
up being a really good involved opportunity to say, how do you feel? What do you think should be your response moving forward? You know what I mean?
I'm sure Max has had that too, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
Where he hasn't, maybe is he a junior this year?
Junior this year, yep.
He didn't play as much as I thought he would play as a sophomore at Creighton. Did you?
He got pretty good ice.
I thought he played. I would have thought he was the top.
Oh, I think
I had higher
No, he
expectations.
had, you had
it's a good decor.
you had Jimmy.
Yes.
So Phoenix, you had 3 returners that he walked into a lineup with Charlie. And
This
Jimmy
is no
and-
slight to
yeah.
Max, but it's like
Yeah.
he probably's not used to being third.
Or how
Ever.
about this, right? Yeah.
You
Regardless,
see, that's
of,
my point. He's
regardless
never
of-
been that.
It's not our interpretations; it's his. And again, there's another kid who goes, "I should be on the ice to start of every power play. I should be starting every game, every
Yeah, you
period.
get used to it. Yeah.
I have to be every 6-on-5 and 5-on-6.
Yeah.
So again, it's your interpretation of a letdown. You know what I mean? And then again, how do you respond to it? That's what I think is the right way to talk
I didn't
about
mean
the
to make this in the Max pod,
No.
but it kind of fits in, right?
No, it does.
Fits
Well,
in
yeah, it
perfectly.
does.
Like, what is that like?
Yeah, I think Wes. You mentioned 2 years ago, Max was eligible for the USHL draft. I think your name doesn't get called, right? He sees all of his buddies, and your name doesn't get called. And now this year, Green Bay drafted him in phase 2, and but I think it's one of those. As a kid, it's a learning opportunity. Like you kind of sit, man, are they going to call my name? Are they going to call my name? Right? And there's a ton of kids, ton of his friends whose names didn't get called, and then got called this year in phase 2. And there's a ton of his friends who got called. And so you kind of you go through that and you listen and you want to be the encouraging and say, hey, it's okay. It has no impact on your career. Just keep battling, right? Keep fighting, and it's going to happen for you. Don't worry about it. And then now fast forward to this year, and he gets drafted by Green Bay in phase 2, and then you see the big smile on your face, and the kids, and you see all these other kids that don't. The kids, your time will come. You see a lot of kids who 2-3 years down the road, that their eligible year, it's now 2 years down the road they're going to get drafted in phase 2. It's like, hey, if your time's going to come, it'll come.
Right.
And this isn't the pod for it, but none of those USHL drafts, WHL, drafts really mean anything until you actually get to the camp.
That's
Absolutely.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like Casey Vandertop, for example, or like Oliver Moore, he's at the Blackhawks. Well, he's going to play in the NHL this year, where there are other kids that are his age that are way better than Oliver. No offense to Oliver, but they're drafted by teams like Tampa Bay. Either way, there's no room,
Yes.
right? Or like Casey's there's a lot of room. They lost 9 forwards from their team. He's going to walk right into the USHL and play right away.
Yep.
But you could go to like a Fargo or somewhere else where like they're all old, right? So like it doesn't, just because you didn't make your USHL team doesn't even really mean that you're in the wrong spot. It's kind of being right place, right time.
Yep.
There's just certain things, you've experienced it all as a parent, so, from the highs and lows. But I like what you said. It's not just getting cut at Pee-wees or Bantams or high school or not playing as much. There's disappointments too along the way.
Right. It's understandable, and we remind ourselves this all the time, because this is my clientele. This is the families I get to, proud to have an opportunity to, try to make a positive impact on. The boys are hungry as hell. You know what I mean? They're so competitive.
Yeah.
And as much as someone else might go, why would, that was so silly that you're this upset about not getting a phase 1 pick, or you're not, hey, some of the guys, right? Competitive programs. Creighton's an example for sure. A sophomore who's not playing a regular shift varsity on opening night. It doesn't mean that you don't have a future long-term, let alone for that season.
Correct.
But you're so hungry, and this is like your number one passion in your life. It's understandable to get caught up in unhealthy emotional responses. And it's frustration, it's jealousy, it's anger, it's confusion. And if you're going to keep eating in to those things, like, then you're going to have a negative response. And now it potentially affects you coming out of that circumstance. One thing from a varsity standpoint, you tell this to guys all the time, specifically, sophomores or maybe freshmen too, if they're trying out for the team. There's the opening night roster, and then there's the section playoffs roster. And during that time, just about every team and every year is fluid, and things are happening. Injuries happen, let alone
sick.
let alone guys just move up the ranks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can say it the other way too. You can say, the young kid is going, hey, I think they got me on top line. Holy crap. And you go, we got a long ways to go, which is why you want to invest in process. We want to invest in habits.
Here's a word for you. And I feel like it's becoming more and more prevalent in social media, and it really applies to this. And it applies to just tryouts. And the word is entitlement. There's certain kids where they know they're going to be, we talk about Colton Nash. There's a billion of these Colton Nashes. There are a lot where they're the best team in their association. They're a little bit entitled. But there's also some people in the middle because they played, and you know what I'm talking about, Budley, is they've played on the team 2 years ago, right? So I played Squirt A's for whatever, Minnesotan, Edina, 2 years ago. So that means I'm entitled to that spot. How do you, and I'm sure you get kids, Wes, who come in who feel like they're entitled to be in certain levels of APX, or they're entitled to certain things. And I know, we go back to that, like, and the reason I thought of this is we used that Oliver Moore example where he got kind of a good break there. But think about it. Oliver Moore has never been cut in his life, right? He's always been on the top team his whole life. He made the NTDP, made the Gophers, power play as a freshman, world championships, the world. That kid's never been cut, right? Think about his life. He is a blessed hockey and a very good hockey player and very talented and hardworking kid. No slam on Oliver, right? But now he's in the NHL. And do you think he's entitled to first line minutes? No. And my point is, at some point, whether it's Squirt A's, Pee Wee's, at some point, it's the old everyone the fastest road to the beer league. But he's gonna have some rude awakenings here in the next 2 years.
Sure, and hopefully he's got a great support system around him with the team and his family and people in his corner. You're not breaking him down, but setting realistic expectations and having good communication patterns in place to go, hey, I hope you don't run into any roadblocks, but if we do, we'll be ready for them, and here's how we're going to attack them. You know what I mean?
I was in a round table with a bunch of guys, couple agents, couple scouts, just happened to be together. We were all having lunch together, and that we brought Oliver as an example. And we didn't even talk about this, how he never had any disappointment. And we were talking about how lucky the kid is. Like, he's had just some great, he's good but the one thing we kept coming back to is his work habits are unbelievable. And I can speak to this firsthand. Like, I was over at the U running some prep elite league stuff. It's 5:00 p.m. Practice at the U has been over since 1:00. I got there at 4. We got there an hour early, and Oliver was still working for 3 hours after practice on individual skills with Ben Gordon and those guys. That's how you make it. He's got that work ethic. He's got those skills. So he might not have a magical first couple of years. He's going to have some tough times ahead, and he's going to be on a really bad team. But I think he'll get rewarded for it. But at the end of the day, you got to have we've talked about heart. You got to have work habits and all those things. I think he's going to be good. But he's going to have that. And everyone gets it, right?
Sure.
At some point in your career, it's not. Yep. You think about him. He's got one of the most blessed no-cut. He's probably never had the fear of cut in his life.
Right. Never had it.
But there's a lot of them out there. He's in the 1%. Or the rest of us, my son included, had it every fall. It was like, oh, we're going to make the team or not.
Yep.
Right?
And you have kids who, might go through their whole entire high school career, Bantams, whatever it might be when you get into more specialization, but we'll stay at high school, who may never play on a power play. Their whole high school career. Kill penalties, right? That's right. 6 forwards that play power play, typically 2 units, and 4 defensemen.
And the second unit gets probably 14 minutes the whole year if you add it all up.
4D will kill penalties, right? And you want to keep driving, right? Keep grinding in practice, because now it's okay. Well, if one of your top 4D is one of the guys that takes a penalty, are they going to roll with 3, or am I proving myself to be able to come up and fill that, as a 5 or 6 to fill that number 4 spot, or if someone's sick on the power play, like, hey, what am I doing to prove myself that I should, get some power play minutes?
Well, I feel like we've developed some pretty good themes out of this podcast today, right? You got to have good habits, don't you? Right. You got to be a good skater, right? And you got to be able to grind.
I think it's what that last notion that Brad had. This is it's not a crazy theory, but it's essentially you can't prove it, so it makes it a theory by definition. Those type of concepts and priorities, everybody can agree that those are easy to want to buy into. I think, and you guys tell me what you think about this too, but we talked about this at our last seminar, is that the current path for kids coming through the youth ranks in hockey and the world that surrounds them, it's a lot more challenging than it was, I'll say like 15, maybe 20 years ago, to develop the right internal attributes to be successful. And I'll say this, so I try to be, I don't want to be too lengthy about it. Maybe it starts with youth levels, AAA, used to be the case. There weren't a whole lot of teams, and they were all pretty selective. Now everybody's got a team. If you don't like the team you're on, right. You don't like the sense of humor your coach has, if there's one parent at the after parties that you don't get along with, you go find a new team.
Yeah.
Hey, this is my job, right? In development's become so much more individual, soft skill driven. Your pucks, your puck time, dynamic offense, hands, finish. And again, those things are great. I'm not saying it's
necessary.
We're not saying it's negative that you can switch AAA teams, right?
No.
And then even moving forward, right? Social media is so individual focused. It's about your contributions or if you're, accomplishments. Or if you're looking at someone else's, it's their draft pick, their points, their this and that. And then, let's take it a step further really quick. The transfer portal in college hockey gives players an out that maybe shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? So if you're not happy that you're not on the power play as a freshman, or you don't like how a coach is, getting his messages across to you.
Transfer portal.
I'm out. Pulling the chute. I want to go somewhere different. Now I'll say again, all these things aren't bad. All these options and opportunities, and social media is terrible, but it's part of our world.
Yeah, it is.
This whole, culture is really tough for players to develop a lot of excitement about their own team success, whatever jersey they're wearing that year. It's really tough to develop the right attributes on how you respond to adversity, thick skin, stick-with-itness, determination, diligence, and then humility too, right? Because it's so individual-driven. It's hard to appreciate someone else's success. And again, it's one thing to say, hey, this is maybe like, when we played, or maybe this still happens, where you back-checked for your team so your coach didn't yell at you, right? Or you went to the net so you didn't get sat.
Yeah.
And, I suppose that's some motivation. You just really, really want players. It starts with mom and dad at home to develop a mentality where they want to do these things. They appreciate team success. It's exciting to want to focus on details and little nuances of the game and make contributions to help us get the W. And then, hey, it's great, right? A kids ought to be driven and very, very excited about their future. It's that type of play that opens up opportunities for you moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Team
guy. But again, we have to recognize that in this environment, it's not easy, right? But it doesn't mean that we're going to be victims of our circumstances. You know what I mean? The obligation is to recognize the pitfalls of what's around us, but to not let that influence how we grow up and how we develop more internally. But inevitably, that's the type of hockey player that materializes out of how you think and how you feel.
I heard this recently. It was about going back to what you're saying about the transfer portal. And I can't remember how it all played out, but they were saying, the mom or the dad was saying X, Y, or Z about the previous coach. And the previous coach, or the new coach, or the prospective coach was like, coaches were talking and said, you realize that's exactly what he or she's going to be saying about you in a year, right?
Sure.
They verbatim, like whatever they're saying there, they're going to be saying here too. So do you want, so my point is, if you enter the portal, if you're leaving Cretin to go to St. Thomas or something, right, you're not happy, right? Pre-record this. This is free advice. Pre-record that you don't say anything bad about the previous stop, because that's only going to turn off the next stop. So you get into the program, and I'm at Canisius, and I'm talking to a coach or an agent or whatever. Make damn sure you keep it positive about the place you were in. Every fiber of your being, it was an unbelievable experience. I'm blessed to have been at Canisius, and I want to, you never ever want to go negative because that coach will pick up on that negative, and I don't want a negative vibe in my locker room.
Yep, I completely agree with you.
I was like, wow, this is good advice.
Build relationships. Keep them positive.
Keep it all positive. It all works out, especially at the beer league, 10 years later. You'll get asked to be on a lot of beer league teams.
Wes, you were chatting just a few minutes ago about it brings me back to things you're doing away from the puck, like the little things on the ice and that get noticed. And I just think of watching Max is on Team APX, right, in the high school elite league. And when a guy blocks a shot, finishes a check in the corner, the bench goes way more crazy than one of their guys when they score a goal. Like, they're happy they scored the goals, but the block shot, you just see the guys, they just get amped up, right? It's the sticks on the boards, everybody's just hooting and hollering, just, simple block shot, finishing a check, way more excitement than than scoring a goal, which is awesome, right?
It's the best part.
It's great for those boys. I like to think that if you're experiencing and you're contributing to our game the right way, you can get dropped on a junior tryout team. You don't know anybody's name, but just once it becomes like ingrained, your appreciation for, the little things, and the block shot's not a little thing. Don't get me wrong, but you cheer for anybody who blocked a shot for your
team,
red practice jersey group. I don't know who that kid is. I don't know where he's from.
Yeah,
but that should be such a great microcosm of what you hope is the real experience for anybody who's playing this sport, for the love of the game, let alone for anybody who's trying to be very successful for their team or for their own personal future.
My high school buddies and I with the group chat. Now, it used to be emails. Now the group chat, Darks and Whites for decades now. Darks and Whites. I mean, the loyalty for Darks over Whites is probably greater than some of their marriages. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. He's Darks.
That may be for a different podcast, Tony. I don't know.
No, but you get the
Brad, if you have any relationship advice for all the hundreds of millions of viewers out there, Tony, you know what I mean?
Shut the mics down real quick.
It's great. No, it's hilarious. I crack up.
Kayla, get that mute button ready.
I crack up every time. Just the stuff in the group chat is hilarious about, even when we're golfing, the teams are always somehow turn out to be the clash between the Darks and the Lights in our hockey group is hilarious, but a lot of the block shot is such a big deal. Winning
Huge,
team is such a big deal to these guys. So
even
in your 40s and 50s,
this was maybe one of the first things that came out of your mouth in the podcast is winning. Everybody knows who you go back to. It's a scrimmage, right? If you know this, if you turn the clock on, it's considered a scrimmage, even if it's a coach run. Right? It's the rules in some of the different districts. So
I know it better than anyone.
If you turn the clock on, it's considered a scrimmage. It goes against your game count.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Every kid on both benches knows what the score of the game is, so just turn the clock on and run it.
Let's run it. Well, not when you need squirts and game counts. That's serious business.
Well, right, but you don't have
the worst is, and we talk about this on 10 Minutes all the time, is these we don't turn the now rankings on until November 1st because these games are so fluid. Some of them are full teams and not teams. I'm like, when are you going to turn it on? I'm like, every year it's November 1st. I'm not, and I'm trying to deter any of these tryout scrimmage scores to go into the formula, and then it's just all hell breaks loose.
You get the scores submitted to you where it wasn't a clock on, right? It was a coach run, but everybody knows the score, so they're still sending it in to you like, oh, we beat.
We delete it, and then it gets put on again. We delete it, and after 7 attempts, we then send them an email. So if you enter one more score, we're going to delete your team off of the rankings. Oh, okay, it doesn't count. So.
Hey, in that vein,
it's crazy.
In that vein, let's one more, I think, good takeaway for people, right? This is responding to your team placement after tryouts, and hopefully you have a healthy interpretation of disappointment if you're not on the top team or you're not where you want to be, and it's going, hey, let's try to invest as best we can in a winning season for this group, this B2 Bantam team,
whatever,
right?
Yeah.
What can we do to can you help more if you're in a different role? And can you really invest emotionally? I mean, that's how our game works the best, when you're that excited about how many W's get put on the board, right? And not every team maybe has a really great outlook from a win percentage standpoint. But what a great kind of adjustment of your priorities to say, now we're wearing this jersey and this team, and what can we do to win?
Yep.
I
and
agree.
try to put these things behind you, and understandably to be disappointed, but it's like, let's move forward and let's invest.
I agree.
And
Be
let's
a
make
leader.
the most
Like,
of all this.
Tony, you said your son became, was
Yeah,
a captain, right? Be a leader. Like, be a
It's
role model
great.
for the younger guys, right? That they look up to you, and be that leader. And what can you do for the team?
We get so close to the ground on this thing, right? We're 50 feet from the ground. If you have a 10,000 foot feet of the ground, like, look at your kid. He's going to be on a team, which is going to teach him a lot of lessons. He's going to learn how to make new friends. He's going to get physically fit. He's going to learn a skill that very, very few people in this world can do, and that's play hockey. There's so many positives that come out of it, except he doesn't have the right letter on the left sleeve of his sweatshirt. It says B or A instead of A or double A, right?
Sure,
Like,
right.
take all that stuff out, wrap it up. He's going to become a better person. She's going to become a better person. I mean, your daughter's had a few of those disappointments in tryouts too. So it's like, and it's always turned out for the best.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
So,
absolutely.
Well, hopefully this podcast turned out for the best. Thank you, Brad and Wes, for coming in. I appreciate it. It's been a very positive pod here on the Minnesotan Pod this week.
You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. Cause it get cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota.